All right, good afternoon, everyone. How you guys doing? Enjoying the conference so far? Nice. So this is going to be the most awesome session of a conference, just so you know. So we'll get started. My name is Miguel Llopis. I work at Microsoft. I'm in charge of data connectivity for Power BI, including data connectors, gateways, and also our team builds connectivity for other services we build, things like Power Apps, Flow, Logic Apps, Azure Analysis Services, and other things you might have heard about this week as well. And with me today we have Will, my good friend Will.
Hello everybody, my name is Will Thompson. I'm one of the program managers on the Power BI desktop. My main focus is the modeling and analytics features, but I also look after some of the visuals like the table and matrix controls, things like filters and slices as well.
He's also known as the guy in the Power BI videos, just FYI.
You may know me from such work as the Power BI videos.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Power BI Desktop. But before we start talking about it, we wanted to get a better sense for what's your level of knowledge about the product. So how many of you are completely new to Power BI Desktop? Okay, a few of you. How many of you are already using it regularly? Okay, great. That was our guess. You know, we started with this product about 2.5 years ago. And back then, it was super easy to do this kind of session because, of course, we were going to do an overview and explain what's Power BI Desktop, how you do the basics, and so on. But as we move over time, we've experienced such impressive growth in usage and also in the level of knowledge that customers have about the product. So right now, we are in that weird spot where we still get, or not weird, I guess it's a good place to be. We still get people that are completely new to the product, but we also get some of those die-hard users who actually would like to learn about what's coming and what's new and, you know, stay in the bleeding edge. So we're going to try and balance that out. We're going to start with a little bit of overview of what the product is about, how it fits in the overall Power BI service value proposition, and then we'll move into just covering a little bit of the features we've recently shipped. We do ship every month with new updates and with lots of new features every month. So we'll cover a little bit of that as a recap. And then we're also going to talk about some of the things that are coming over the next couple of months. So for those of you who are new, you'll get some value out of this and kind of progressive running through the knowledge of Power BI Desktop. And for those of you who know it, you know, to death, you'll actually get out of this room knowing something that nobody else outside this room knows yet, because we're disclosing today some of those announcements. With that, let's talk about Power BI. So what's Power BI, Will?
Right. So for those of you who are kind of new to this, Power BI Desktop is one of 3 or 4 parts of the Power BI product family as a whole. The desktop is the main place that you'll be doing your data collection and modeling and building those reports and analytics on top of that. But the other key parts, just so you know where it kind of fits in with the rest of Power BI, there's the Power BI service or the Power BI website, where you can publish those reports up, share them with your colleagues, and create dashboards based on different elements of those reports, bringing things together from lots of different places into one dashboard. And even share those outside of your organization. There's the gateway, which in this diagram is kind of in the middle, at the bottom, and that's the piece that allows you to talk back from that service to any on-prem data sources you might have if you want to set up a refresh so that data is kept up to date automatically. And then, of course, there's a set of clients that you can use to consume those reports and dashboards. So whether that's through the web or through a mobile app, just on your phone or on a tablet. The desktop piece, thank you. The desktop piece is what we're going to focus on today, obviously. And there's a few different flavors of it. We've got 32 and 64-bit versions. We do recommend the 64-bit version because it's under the covers. The core part of desktop is this in-memory engine for running these really fast data analytics operations. And this means that you can ingest data from a whole wide range of data sources. Miguel will talk about some of those data connectors that we support. Bring that into one place and analyze it with great speed. But then there's a reporting engine on top of that as well that lets you produce these fantastic visuals and deliver those through based on web technology. So it's all HTML5. We launch a new version of the Power BI Desktop every month. We do some incremental releases in between for just bug fixes and hot fixes. But typically, you'll see these things going out once a month, first week of the month. So you're about a week away from the next release. And as Miguel said, we'll have a few sneak peeks on what's coming in October. I should also mention the report server. Yes, I knew there was something I'd forgotten here. So as well as, if I go back one, as well as these components, which we've already talked about, there's also an on-premises version of the server component. So as a place where you can publish the reports that you've created to share those out around your organization. And that's the Power BI report server. So this is totally on-prem and allows you to run this in if you're not ready to move to the cloud, you can run things there. And we actually have a separate version of Power BI Desktop for that report server. So you need to be aware, am I creating these reports to publish up to the cloud service, or am I going to create these to publish to the on-prem report server and get the right version of Power BI Desktop?
All right, so with that, let's talk a little bit about what's new in each of the areas. We're going to start with data connectivity and data prep, and then we'll talk about data modeling, analytics, and visualizations as well. In terms of data connectivity and data preparation features, over the last 6 months, we've shipped a large number of features. So as you can see here, it's about something in the 34, 35 features or feature enhancements to existing features as well. So some of the things I wanted to mention here are new connectors such as the Visual Studio Team Services connector, Azure Analysis Services connector, Dynamics 365 for customer insights, other connectors as well like IBM Netezza, Google BigQuery, GA for other connectors we used to have in beta before, such as Redshift, Impala, Snowflake, and so on. We also shipped a new connector for connecting to data sets that have been already published to the Power BI service. Will is actually going to show you a demo of that in a few minutes. And a couple other cool features I wanted to mention. One of them is custom data connectors. So as you're going to see through the demos today, we have about 75 different data connectors in the Power BI desktop today. Many of those connectors will actually allow you to get to additional data sources that are not called out of the box, if you will, because they support generic interfaces, things like ODBC, OLEDB, OData, REST APIs. If you have an endpoint that exposes, or a data source that exposes any of those interfaces, you can plug it into Power BI Desktop very easily today through these generic connectors. But something you might also want to look into is coming up with your own connector definition that then it makes it show up as a first-class connector in the Get Data dialog itself. Like if you already own a data source or a service, you might want to expose it that way. So that's what custom data connectors allows you to do. We're going to actually not do demos on custom data connectors on this session, but we have another session tomorrow morning on Power BI for developers, where we will talk about the custom connectors SDK in more detail as well. The other feature that we wanted to show you today is add column by example, and I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get into the demo, which is going to be right now. I'll switch to my machine here. So before actually going into the demo, I'm going to show you where you should go if you know nothing about Power BI yet. You should come to this session, but then after this session, you should go to powerbi.com. And this is our main community site. From here, you can get to many different things, like signing in or signing up for the service. We have free trial versions that you can try. And you can also start free by downloading Power BI Desktop. So you would come here and download it from here. It's a Microsoft installer that installs the application in your desktop. And once you do that, you're going to end up with Power BI Desktop in the client. So that's what I'm showing you right now. And this is the view that you'll start with. It's this getting started page, we used to call it. We have a few videos. We have links to see what's new with the list of every monthly release, new features, link to the forums, the blogs, and a bunch of valuable materials here for you to get started easily. We're going to go and create a new report, which you'll do here from the left pane. So the first thing we need to do to get into doing a report is actually getting some data that we can analyze and visualize, right? So we'll click Get Data. And that's going to bring us into the Get Data dialog that I was mentioning earlier. This is where the 75 plus connectors are showing up today. And we have many different kinds. So we have connectivity to a bunch of different types of files, things like Excel workbooks, text and CSV files, XML and JSON files. You can also connect to folders, both local folders as well as SharePoint folders. And this is actually a pretty powerful scenario. So imagine a scenario where you maybe get different versions of a file that has, say, monthly data on sales, or maybe it has, weekly data on orders, something like that. That every N days or weeks, you get a new version of that file that has data for the latest period. And you would like to actually report on top of the collection of files for a historical view. So you would use the folder connector to actually connect to a given folder where you're dropping those new files every n days or every period. And you would actually use Power BI Desktop to combine them into a single view, into a single tabular view that then you can report on top of. So very powerful, and as I mentioned, you can do this on top of local as also SharePoint folders. Databases, so we support breadth of databases in the industry, not just Microsoft sources like SQL Server and Access and analysis services, but also things like Oracle Database, IBM DB2, Netezza, MySQL, Postgres, Teradata. We also support SAP connectivity to SAP HANA, SAP BW, and some of the things that we added recently as we were talking about, such as Redshift, Impala, BigQuery, Snowflake. Lots of breadth of connectors, and in case you didn't know, but we do have ideas forum, so ideas.powerbi.com. That's the place you would go to actually ask for new connectors as well, and we keep monitoring that very closely. Besides databases, we also support, we have first-class connectivity to most of Azure services out there today, not just SQL databases and data warehouses. The new Azure AS service that was released a few months ago, it's also available. Blob and table storage, Cosmos DB, which used to be known as Document DB or DocDB, Data Lake Storage, DFS, Spark, lots of things. Online services, so we support Power BI service data sets. We're going to see a demo of that later. We also support SharePoint List, SharePoint Online List, Exchange, so you could do things like reporting on top of your mailbox on things like your email, your contacts, your calendar information. Dynamics connectors, connector to the Common Data Service as well, the CDS service. Azure Consumption Insights is a connector that we actually added last month in September. Salesforce, Visual Studio Team Services, a bunch of other third-party SaaS services, things like Google Analytics, Comscore, Facebook, GitHub, MailChimp, Mixpanel, Marketo, PlanView, and you can keep going on and on because we support many of them in this category. And many of these, actually, I should say, they've been built through the same custom connector extensibility framework that we are now making available to everyone. We've built this over time working closely with these companies as our partners, and we've been solidifying that custom connectors framework so that now when we expose it to everyone, which happened a few months ago, now it's very solid and very mature for you to actually go and use it and start building on top of our platform. A few other connectors, so this is one of the disclaimers or sneak previews this month. Next week, we're announcing a BRK connector as part of the October Power BI Desktop release. So if any of you are waiting for that connector, it's coming really, really soon. A few other connectors, like connecting to web pages, we're actually going to do a demo on that one. And a few more things like Active Directory, OData, Exchange on-prem, HDFS on-prem, Spark, R scripts, so you can actually bring your existing R scripts into Power BI Desktop this way, and then generic connectors through ODBC and OLEDB. Let's go and do a demo based on the web connector. This is a scenario or a connector that's actually very unique to what we do with Power BI and Power BI Desktop. It also shows up in other places where Power Query shows up, including things like Excel. But it is very unique compared to other ETL tools out there, which is the ability to extract data from an HTML table on a website. So imagine this scenario. I'm looking at this Wikipedia site, which has a list of the states and territories in the US. And there's this table, and I would like to actually report on top of this data set. So other tools might actually require you to copy-paste the data, and that's a very tedious process. And the hardest part of that is that it's non-repeatable, meaning that the next time if you wanted to pull fresher data from that table, you will have to redo these steps to copy and paste that data and clean it up as part of that. For us, it's much easier. You just need to copy the URL. You come to Power BI Desktop and go to the web connector, paste in that URL. And now Power BI Desktop is analyzing this HTML page, and it is extracting all of the tables exposed. So here we have a list of tables, and you get a table view. So for example, if I pick this one over here, I get to see that table view. But more interestingly, you also get a web view. And let me scroll out here a little bit. I'll zoom out. Oops. Sorry. All right, that looks better. Slightly, let me maximize this. Okay, now we're good. So here you can actually see that web preview in context. This is the same page on Wikipedia that we were looking at. So I could either pick from the list on the left, or I could come scroll down here and find the actual table that I wanted, which turns out to be this guy. I'll just check it there. And at this point, I could do two things. I could click load, or I could click edit. This experience is actually consistent across all of the data sources that we connect to. So it doesn't matter if you're connecting to a web page like this or you're connecting to a SQL Server database. We're actually going to give you this same navigation experience where you see the list of tables on the left. You can preview them. You can browse through the list. And you can select one or multiple. And then you can either load straight to the local data model, which will allow you to then start building your analytics and your data modeling artifacts on top of that and your visualizations. Or you could click edit. If you click edit, we're going to take you to the query editor UI, which is basically the main place where you do all of your filtering and data preparation steps, basically to get the data ready for analysis, because as you probably already know, that's pretty much 80% of the time is spent on analytics today. Okay, so within this query editor environment, I can, as I said, I can apply a bunch of different data transformations and filters. The last time I counted, we supported about 350 different transforms. That's right, 350. Most of them are exposed through the ribbon, so a bunch of things like choosing columns, scrolling to a specific column, removing columns, keeping rows from the top, from the bottom, keeping ranges of rows, keeping duplicated rows, removing duplicates, removing from top, from bottom, removing blank rows, splitting an existing column by delimiter. You can also do things like changing data types. You can use a first row of a data set as the column headers, or demote the headers to become the first row. You can also merge or do join operations between multiple queries. And this is also pretty interesting because you can actually do this regardless of the data source that that query came from. So you can very easily join data from, let's say, a web page like this one on an HTML table with data coming from BigQuery, or data coming from Spark, or data coming from an Excel workbook. It doesn't really matter. Once you get the data into the Power Query UI, like this query editor experience we're showing you, you're actually going to be able to apply the same set of transformations regardless of the underlying data source. And you're actually going to be able to very easily combine and correlate those data sets together. Let's go and do a little bit of data transforms. I'm going to pick a few columns. I'm going to right-click and say I'm going to remove the others. We actually want to clean the column names. So let's start by cleaning this up. This is my name column. Then we have the abbreviation, the capital, the series largest, the established column, and then we have population. All right, a little bit of cleanup. Now we could do more things. So for example, I could go pick the established column, which, you know, it looks like a date to us because we understand that format, but it is not actually formatted as a date. It's a text. We could actually go and say something like, I want to add a new column that basically extracts the year. So I could come to the Add Column menu where we have a bunch of other things and go under Date. And in this case, I could extract more things. Well, of course, I'll have to turn it first into a Date column. So let me actually duplicate that first. And now that I have this duplicate column, I can go and say, this is a date column, so it now properly looks like a date. And I can now do date operations on it, so like extracting the year component. So now I have my year component, and maybe I can get rid of that one if I want it. So, you know, that's something, it's relatively easy to do in some cases, but given the number of transformations that we support, sometimes it's hard for you to realize what things are supported or where to find them. And also something that we've seen with some users in the past is that they might not be as advanced as for understanding the data cleaning or cleansing strategy that they should follow. So they might not know if they need to split a column by delimiter or if they need to replace a certain set of characters or something like that. So for those users, we actually came up with this new feature that I was talking about earlier, add column from example. So imagine being able to say, well, given this set of input columns that I have, I'm going to give you a few examples for what I would like the new column to look like. And then I'll let you figure out the rest. So I'll let the tool do the hard work for me to figure out the right operations. So that's what we built with this by example feature. You can find it under the Add Column menu. There's this column from examples button here at the first entry. And once we go into this mode, it allows us to do a few things. So first of all, we get this new column that's interactive. I can actually type into it and I can scroll through. And that's going to allow me to type a sample output for that column on that specific row. And it will take into account the input values for each of the columns in that particular row. So for example, based on that established column that we had, say that I wanted to extract something like the month's name. So I could start typing DEC, and I'm going to get suggestions for what I could be doing. In this case, we easily find that one of them is actually the month's name. So we can go, oops. We can go and specify that one, and we just get the month's name for all of the other rows. How cool is that? Nice, thank you. But wait, because there's more. So we can also do smarter things, like for example, rather than actually typing DEC for like December, let's say that I actually wanted to extract the name of the day of the week. And I actually don't know December 14th, 1819, what day it was. I was there, but it was so long ago.
You don't know what day that was?
I don't remember. I was there, but
okay.
I just don't remember.
You just don't remember?
Yeah, I'm so old, so I don't remember it anymore, right? But imagine that you start typing week, and based on that, we actually, the suggestions we give you are both based on the output value, or also based on the command that would allow you to get there. So in this case, I type week, and we recognize day of week from that established column, and so we determine that it is Tuesday. So we can just go and do that. And then, boom, you just get all the weekday names as well. Let's do a couple more. So here's an interesting case. If we go back to the first column, name, and we scroll down, we see this row value in row 21. That's Massachusetts with the square brackets F. That's actually a reference link in the Wikipedia page, and there might be more occurrences of this. So we definitely want to clean this up, but then someone might wonder, okay, what would be the best strategy to clean this? Should I apply a replace values operation that replaces the square brackets F with empty, and then I get rid of it? Well, that would work for this value, but then if we come up with a square bracket G or E or something else, that wouldn't filter that out. So you actually need to do something else. You could split column by delimiter, maybe using the left square bracket, and then throw out the second piece and just keep the first chunk. Or you could say I want to extract the text before the square bracket delimiter, but then you need to start thinking about how to go about that. Now, the cool thing about by example, I think this is where it really shines, because you can just tell us what that input value is, and then we'll figure it out for you. So let's go back into by example and scroll down to row 21. And then we'll type Massachusetts. And then you get all of the other values as well. And since I'm here, I'm going to just rename this also to state. So pretty easy to get that column cleaned up. Now, by example is not only about extracting data from columns. It's also about being able to combine columns together. So let's go and do something more sophisticated with that as well. Say, let's take this first row with Alabama. And this is the part where I learn a lot about US history and geography, right? So I can say Alabama, AL, whose capital is, and this is what I remember now very well, Montgomery, was founded on a Tuesday in December 1819. And we get that really long formula generated, as you can see in the top, but we actually didn't get it quite right yet. There was an issue here. If you look at the generated code, we actually didn't interpret the capital static text right. We actually took capit, and then we appended the lowercase version of the abbreviation column, which in this case was AL for Alabama. What we need to do in this case is just go and provide a second example. So we disambiguate and we make it clear for our machine logic behind the scenes to actually detect that you wanted to type capital. Once we do that, boom, it just works. So now we cleaned up the generated formula, and this is just exactly what we wanted. So I'm just going to type that as a comment and commit that, and now we have that full value cleaned up. So Alaska, whose capital is Juneau, was founded on a Saturday in January 1959, and so on and so forth. So, just to wrap up the introduction to the query editor, just to summarize, you get a lot of rich transformations, which you can apply through the ribbon, through the context menus, on columns, lots of things you can do. You also get, by example, as you build these transformations, you also get the list of applied steps here on the right. So you can always go back to a previous step and then customize what we did. So for example, I could go back to the step where we inserted some text before the delimiter, and I could change that text. So rather than taking the text before that left square bracket we did to clean up the Montgomery value, I could change this to parentheses, maybe if that changes in the Wikipedia page at some point. And then every time that I refresh this data, we're actually going to go retrieve that data from Wikipedia, and we're going to apply the same query transformation steps. Now let's go and load this. I'm going to go to the Home tab and click close and apply. And now we've run that query again and retrieved the entire data set, and we've loaded that data into the data model here in Power BI Desktop. We're looking right now at the main report window in Power BI Desktop, and from here I can start building data visualizations. Will is the expert on this, but I'm just going to steal a few minutes to show you some basic stuff, and then he'll show you more advanced demos. So I just inserted a visualization type. This is actually one of the coolest visualizations that we have in Power BI Desktop, in my opinion. This is the ArcGIS maps from Esri. We're going to pull some information here, like the state column. We'll just bring that into the location field. I just drag and drop that into that field spot. And then we're going to take the population field, and we can drag that into the color. Let me do that again. We'll drag that into the color, and then you see how we just start making the darker color states are the one with highest population. So California, Texas, and so on are the ones with highest population. Let's also bring something into the tooltips. So we can bring that comment column that we just created, combining all of those fields. And we can also maybe bring population again, but in this case, rather than the raw value, we can go into this advanced menu here, this contextual menu, and we're going to go and add a new quick measure, I think it is. Oops, no, not here. Just one sec. So I need to come here and add the percent total option.
Which show values as, which doesn't appear to be there.
Yeah, it was appearing earlier. Well, never mind. I wanted to add a second value, but we'll dig deeper into that. That's our friend Murphy has definitely showed up on the session today. So, well, so that's kind of the wrap up for the first demo, and with that, we're going to jump into other demos that Will is going to show you. Yeah. So I'm going to switch to your machine.
Cool. All right. So we focused there on the connectivity and data prep capabilities, but I wanted to dive into some of the other features, starting off around modeling and analytics. Now, you may look at this slide and go, there's a lot fewer boxes on there, or a lot less boxes on there than Miguel had on his slide. That doesn't mean that my team doesn't work as hard. We just ship better features and bigger features. In the last 6 months, I think some of the most important ones, the things that I'm going to do a quick demo on, are around something called what-if parameters, what-if slices. This is something new that we added that allows you to create things in your reports that your end users can play around with and interact with to make changes to the calculations that are going on behind the scenes. So, for example, you might build a quota forecaster or a sales calculator, that kind of thing. One of the other ones I want to call out here is right up in top left there, is a preview that just came out in the last month on something called Explain the Increase. What we're trying to do with Power BI Desktop is make more and more advanced capabilities available to users who don't necessarily need to know about statistical modeling or forecasting or any of these kind of advanced or even AI type features. And this is a really good example of that. We showed it in a demo yesterday, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail as well. But there are some other great things that we've been building recently. Everything from grouping and binning to quick calculations that help you get started writing your own DAX formulas, which is the formula language that you use in Power BI Desktop, to a whole bunch of other things. I haven't got time to go into all of them, so we're going to focus on these two. So I wanted to start with the what-if analysis piece. And I've actually got a couple of examples. Am I not? Oh. Let's do this. My laptop decided it was going to only show you half of the screen. Okay, what we actually did when we launched this feature back at the start of September was set up a little competition, asking everybody out in our community, take a look at this feature, see what you can come up with. We want to see creative, we want to see interesting ideas, we want to see how it's applicable in business, but also how you can have fun with it. And I'm going to show you two examples that people came up with. So bearing in mind that this competition ran for about 2 weeks, we had 22 submissions from all over the world, from all sorts of different backgrounds. It was really great that you guys out in the community were getting involved and trying this and helping find new ways of using these features. But this example really stood out for me. What they've got here is at the top half of the screen, you're looking at a set of bars that kind of indicate the relative amounts of different parts of a financial statement. So you've got gross sales, and then cost of goods sold, profits, income before taxes, and then a final net income over on the left-hand side, right-hand side. And obviously these all have an impact on each other. But then what you've got down in the corner is a set of variables, which are kind of the levers that we can play around with to see how these things are all connected. So if, for example, I wanted to see, well, what happens if my cost of goods went up? I'll see all of the charts at the top react. So my cost of goods sold goes up, but then my interest expenses and taxes come down because that's offset by all of these other things. All of the values here are kind of interconnected through these formulas. And so as I play around with these sliders, I can see all these things updating. And I thought it shows two really good things. One is it's a really good example of this what-if slicer feature, but it's also a really interesting visual. What they've got here is a set of bar charts, so they've got one bar for each of these, with a nice image behind it to help lay it out. And then they're also using some color formatting rules to determine whether these things are green or red. It's a really nice example. It's available on our community site, so you can go and have a look, have a play around with it. And we're really encouraging them to publish the file as well, so you can actually see how they built it. So one of the other examples that I wanted to show was a little bit more fun. So kudos, the previous one, I will mess his name up, but Tringoyen Min, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with name pronunciation, so kudos to him for building that. And for this one, Jason Thomas and David Eldersveld, who are two of our MVPs from Blue Granite, worked together to kind of build this. And yes, Tank Wars. Everybody remember this from the Atari days? Whatever machine it was on. So I can choose to move my little tank around, and I can change the velocity or the angle of my shot. And then when I hit fire, I get my little missile going over. Is it going to hit that other tank? No, missed. Okay, let's try again. A little bit further. Looks promising. Oh. What I should do is remember what numbers I have to type in to actually get it to hit, so that I don't have to keep trying this in the demo. I've overshot it now, haven't I? Oh my word. Anyway, it would tell me if I hit it as well. Again, really clever. I mean, this is just using out-of-the-box Power BI visuals apart from the little play button. That's the only thing that's different. What they've got is they've got like a scatter chart behind the scenes, and then that play button just animates through a set of frames that determine where the shot goes. So that what-if slicer, a couple of examples, really, really interesting feature, really interesting and innovative ways of using it. So the other piece that I wanted to show was this explain the increase feature. And like I said, we're trying to bring more AI and ML type. If you go to, how many of the sessions have you been in this week where somebody's mentioned AI and ML? Every single session? Yeah, sorry, it's the thing at the moment at Microsoft. And we're no different, right? So we wanted to try and figure out how can we bring some of those smarts to bear on data analytics and helping people just find insights in their data that perhaps they wouldn't have thought to look for before. So I've got some data here which is on the traffic fatalities in the US over the last however many years. And we can see there was a bit of a spike just on this in the last year. This is 2014, 2015 here. We've gone from sort of 42,000 deaths per year roughly in the early 2000s. It's dropped down a lot recently, but it's starting to pick back up again. And you know, I could choose to go and slice and dice this by different dimensions and drag different attributes on to look at it in different ways. But if I don't know where to start, I've got a huge data model here. It would take me hours potentially to find some trend and some meaning in this data. But instead I can choose to just click on Analyze here and explain the increase. And it'll take that point that I looked at and the difference between 2014 and 2015 and start running some machine learning and some algorithms over this to work out, well, what was the biggest contributing factor to that change? And there's a 7.1% increase, and we found out that actually it turns out, possibly not what you would expect, alcohol wasn't involved in most of these. In fact, it's the biggest change in that year was that many fewer accidents had alcohol involvement in them than there were previously. I'll see other things like the number of fatalities has changed. Some states are obviously more likely to be killed in a car crash in certain states. But also something like the type of collision. One of the things that we found here, which was interesting, was that many more of the accidents are actually caused by vehicles who aren't hitting other vehicles. They're just going off the road or hitting a tree or a lamppost or whatever. And it's actually not necessarily two drivers who are at fault. It's just one person who's maybe distracted because they're on their cell phone or whatever it might be.
So if you hit a brewery, does that count as alcohol involved?
I don't know, yeah. So the great thing about these insights is that not only are we helping people find those things and just sort of saying, hey, look, here's something interesting, but they can just become part of the report as well. So whenever I hit this little plus button, it'll add it as a visual to my page. I've got two of them here. And this is just then part and parcel of any other, like any other report here. So I can choose to cross-highlight, and I can see the change in different categories if I wanted to, and go and format this differently and use it just as part of my analysis. One of the other things that we shipped with this was actually a new type of chart. It's called a ribbon chart, and that's really good for showing changes from year to year, for example, in the relative rankings of different items. I'll come back to that one in a minute. So those are a couple of the kind of analytic type features that we've been working on over the last 6 months. There's one other that I wanted to point out before I go on, and that's the ability to connect to data sets that have been published up to the PowerBI.com service. So I'm just going to start a new instance of Power BI Desktop because I can't do this from an existing one. But one of the things that we've heard people's feedback on over the last few months when we started working on this was that there's a groundswell of people who are creating these models in Power BI Desktop and publishing them up to the PowerBI.com website, up to the service. But once it was there, it felt like a little bit of a dead end in that the data's there and I can go and build more reports on top of it in the service, but the desktop's the best place to build those reports. So why can't I do that from the desktop? And so actually that was one of the things that we built here, was the ability to say, rather than pulling in data from a database in particular, for example, I'm actually going to go up to the Power BI service and just connect to some data that's already there. So I don't have to keep round-tripping the data up and down. I don't have to keep round-tripping the documents up and down. All I need to do is say, well, what workspace do you want to connect to? Pick a demo. I've got a million things in here. Let's use my whiskey data set. Just as something random. And now I'm working in a live connected mode to that data source that's up in the data set that's up in the service. So you'll notice down in the corner here it says connected live to the Power BI data set. So at this point I can't make changes to this data set. I can still add measures and add new calculations on top of it. So for example, if I wanted to do a new measure where I just counted the number of whiskey tastings we've had. This is the traditional Friday afternoon activity in the Power BI office, is whiskey tastings. We'll just do a quick count of the number of rows in that table. So I can still enhance the data set that's up there in the service by adding these new measures and then using those in my report. But I'm not actually round-tripping data around here. I'm just reusing those assets that either I or somebody else has created. Now, of course, I can take this desktop file and publish this up to the service as well. And now I've just got a report sitting there pointing at the data set that's up there, and it's separated from me working on my desktop. But a really nice way of building more of a kind of life cycle into the way that you're publishing data and then reusing it and rebuilding reports on top of that. Okay. So let's take a look at the visuals and reporting side. This is another one of those eye charts. A huge number of features that we've been shipping over the last few months. Every time we do this session, we have to drop things off the end of the list because they're older than 6 months, and we seem to be adding more and more. This list gets longer, even though we're rolling the period of time through. Whether it's new chart types or being able to new formatting capabilities on our visuals, things like new calculation types, things like controls over number of points that you're showing on a chart, whether it's fonts or whatever. There's a whole range of things that we've been adding. A couple that I want to pick out. One is around drill through. So this was a huge request. It was like number 3 or 4 on our forums for a really long time. And we finally launched this in September. And this is the ability to define a page in your report that's kind of the details for a customer or the details for a particular product or for a particular service line. And then anywhere else in your report where you're showing a data point that's about that particular customer or product or whatever, I can right-click on it and then drill through to the details page and pass the context of that through to that page. So really, really useful for building that kind of navigation throughout a report. Theming was another area that we've put a lot of investment in recently. Particularly, we started off around just putting colors into your report and being able to theme those, but we've just extended this to cover other formatting capabilities in your visuals, and I'll show you a demo of that too. And another one that I wanted to point out, because it seems like such a simple feature, but is so useful. I can show you just a demo on this one. So I've got my chart here where I was looking at the type of collision and the number of fatalities. But these are just the names of the fields that came out of the model. Now, if you've connected to somebody else's model, perhaps those names don't mean so much to you, or you just want to make it a little bit clearer and easier to understand for the people who are going to be consuming this report. Or rather than making changes in the model itself, you can just double-click it here and rename it here in the visual. And this seems like such a simple change, but I wanted that to be type of collision instead of manner of collision, because manner is a bit of a weird word. You know, I'm always surprised that it took us this long to get around to building this, but really, really useful. We had loads of great feedback about it. People were really excited, so I wanted to make sure everyone's aware of it too. All right, so let's take a look at some of those other ones. I'm going to start with drill through, and actually, I want to show another demo that I'm shamelessly stealing from somebody else. There's a chap called John White who works for a company called Tygraph. And they actually build a set of analytics on top of, they started off on top of Yammer, but they do a whole bunch of kind of sentiment analysis from Twitter, all that sort of things. And he actually built this report using the Ignite data. So this is a great example. He's connected to a data set which covers all of the sessions here and built this great kind of browser report so you can slice and dice it by what day of the week. So where are we? Tuesday at 2:15. 2:15? Yeah, here. So you've turned down all these other sessions. Thank you so much for coming and spending your time with us. Let's try and find, is it Tuesday? Oh, it's because I'm looking at Monday and Tuesday. Ah, there you go. I was going to say that looked like a lot. Okay, you've turned down all these sessions. It's still quite a lot. So let's find us. Dive into effective report authoring. And what John did here was build another page in this report, which is a session details page. And by creating that, now when you look at a chart or a table in this case about a particular session, I can right-click it and choose drill through to the session detail. And that will navigate me to that page, so you can see this is the third one, and hopefully filter it down to to just the details for us. So you didn't do your joke.
Yeah, for those of you wondering, my picture being unpivoted is by design.
It's a data transformation joke. There are not very many of them.
Yeah.
All right, so that drill through feature, really, really useful, really, really simple as well. So to actually set these things up, you'll see when you're building a report, there's this page, this area in the filters pane called drill through filters. And you just drag the field that you're interested in there. So you drag in, your customer ID or your product name or whatever it might be. And whatever field you put in there, or any of the fields that you put in there, you can put more than one thing in there, can be used then to drill through to this page and filter it down to just that. So you might put, customer name, customer ID, and the stock ticker symbol, just anything that uniquely identifies a customer. Okay. So the last thing that I wanted to show on the reporting side was around themes. And one of the things here that as I mentioned, was that we released a few months ago now the ability to define a JSON file that would pre-configure the colors that we would use in your report. So out of the box, you get this nice set of kind of teal and green. And we do use a set of, there's a set of kind of visual best practices, and there is some science behind the colors that we've chosen here. But we know it doesn't work for everyone. We know people have corporate standards or marketing templates which you've got to adhere to. So you can define these theme files which specify those colors. And then any new visuals that you create in that report, in fact, any existing visuals in that report as well, will pick up that color scheme. But what we've just done is extend this so that it's not just colors that you can define there, but other formatting properties on these visuals as well. So pretty much anything from the legend style or the position of the legend to the font that it's using, to the color, the size of the data points, to the whether the data labels are turned off, etc., etc. And all you need to do is come to the theme and you can import a theme. I've got an example here which does both colors and some of the formatting options. And you see that's now, oops, where did it go? That's now applied that theme to my report. So you can see it's turned the data labels on, it's changed the colors, it's turned the labels on for these line charts as well. It's changed the fonts here in the legend. I think it's left aligned the legend as well. A whole range of things. Basically, any of the formatting properties that you can reach through this pane, you can set in this theme. And the theme itself is just a JSON file. Now, hand cranking a JSON file is not much fun, but we've got some fantastic folks out in the community who have built some tools to make that easier. So this website, powerbi.tips, it's run by a guy called Mike Carlo. He has got some fantastic theme generators to help build these. So you come down and you can choose, here are all the different properties that I've got, so whether it's colors, whether it's settings like the text size, the fonts, and then some specific ones for bar charts where the legend appears, the y-axis settings, etc., etc. A whole range of these different things. So you choose all the options you want, click export, and it gives you a JSON file. And then you just import that into the desktop and away you go. Now, obviously, down the road in the future, we're going to want to make this even easier. We'll have ways to kind of preset that as a default for every report that you create in your desktop. We'd really like to kind of have a gallery in the same way that we do with custom visuals and the like, where you can go and just point at a theme and it'll automatically apply to your desktop without having to go through this JSON file. But I'd thoroughly recommend, I recommend Mike's website in general because it is a great set of tips and tricks, but particularly for this theme generator, he's done a great job there. Okay. So I mentioned custom visuals then. How many of you have used a Power BI custom visual? Not quite as many as I thought, actually. So custom visuals are a way for somebody who's got some JavaScript skills to extend the visualization capabilities of Power BI Desktop. In fact, on Power BI Service as well. So basically, you can say, I'm going to take the data pipeline that exists behind Power BI visuals, but I'm going to visualize it in my own way. The charts and graphs and things that you get out of the box don't quite do it for me. I want to customize them. I want to style them, or I want to create something entirely new. And again, there's a whole range of things out there where people have already done this, and you can go and take advantage of those, download them, and start using them in your reports, even if you don't have those JavaScript skills. And when I say loads, I mean loads. Obviously, there's a massive eye chart slide with all of these visuals again. And again, this is just the last 6 months. I think we're up to 150 almost, maybe, of these visuals that have been created and published. And one of the great things that happened a little earlier this year was that we integrated this with the Office store. So now if you want to use one of these custom visuals, you can just pull them straight in from the store. There is a nice UI for finding these. And yeah, the range that you've got to choose from is ever growing. And one of the other things that this custom visuals framework actually does is lets you wrap these visuals, or wrap them around R. So if any of you are kind of into the data science world, the R packages are a great way of working with and visualizing data, but they do require some more scripting skills. And again, you can set that script up. You can bind it to a set of data in Power BI, or bind it to like a field well in Power BI, and turn it into a custom visual. And you can deliver that to your users and say, just go and use this. And it will abstract all of that R stuff away from your users. And they can focus on putting the data in the visuals, getting the analytics they want out of it. Specifically, one of the ones that I wanted to call out, because this is really quite new, is this Visio integration. So how many of you have got Visio diagrams? Hopefully everybody. Everyone uses Visio all over the shop, right? If you want to bind that to data, you can kind of do it in Visio, and there's some capabilities there. But doing that in Power BI, where you've got all the other reporting and visualization capabilities, is fantastic. And this visual lets you do that. I have another example. Where's it gone? Up here. It's disappeared. Okay, so I've got a Visio diagram sitting up here on a SharePoint site, and I can take this Visio diagram, host it in this custom visual, and then start binding it to data too. So what I'm going to do is take the URL of that diagram. Here's my little report. I've got some data already in here, and you can see I've got some information about the processing that's going on as quotes come into this business. So the customers got identified, they have an opportunity that gets qualified, they'll go through some lead scoring, some generation for these quotes, and eventually it'll turn into a contract or whatever. But visualizing it in a table like this, not particularly exciting. Sure, I could come in and I could apply some formatting to this. Maybe I want to come to my KPI and say, let's set some background colors. I keep disappearing. So it goes red to green, fantastic. I can maybe apply data bars to this as well. We've got some out-of-the-box formatting capabilities, but it's not as rich as visualizing it in a diagram that explains how that process works. And so just converting it to that Visio diagram, I can paste in the URL, and this will now connect to that Visio diagram in the service and bind it into the data in my model, hopefully. Or not. Oh, you're doing so well. Yeah. Okay. It's a preview. It's a preview. Refresh.
The field mapping. Nope.
Nope.
I'll send the frown next to it.
Send feedback. It didn't work.
Right.
Please hit send feedback buttons liberally, and whenever you see them, please let us know. All right, okay, so that didn't quite work, but it would be great if it did. You can go watch the video of Pat doing that yesterday. All right. So I wanted to spend sort of some of the remaining time talking about where we're going with Power BI. We've covered a whole bunch of capabilities so far. Kind of looked at the whole gamut of connecting to data and modeling the data and shaping it in different ways and then reporting and visualizing it as well. And that continues to kind of be the focus of Power BI Desktop. It's all about helping people get access to the data, find insights in their data, and helping them visualize it and explain what things they found in that data and what decisions should be made or what actions should be taken at the back of that. And that's something that we really see as kind of the mission for Power BI Desktop, and that's going to continue in the future. One of the most exciting things that we've announced this week is that Power BI Desktop is going to very soon be available. In fact, it is already available in the Windows Store. So how many of you are using Windows 10? That's fantastic. I'm so glad that there's a lot of people, because otherwise we've just spent time building something that nobody can use. But you'll find now that if you open up the Windows Store and search for Power BI, you'll see two big Power BI logos. There's one that's just called Microsoft Power BI. That is our mobile app, the consumption app, and you'll see Microsoft Power BI Desktop as well. So you can download it from here. Thank you to the 3 people who have rated it 5 stars. You're probably all here because this is the only place we've announced it. It would be so embarrassing if I'd shown this and they'd all been 1-star ratings. But this is great because it means that every month when we ship these updates, you'll get them downloaded automatically to your machine. It will happen in the background, so you won't even notice until, hey, you've got some new features. You don't need to be an administrator to go and install it. So we've heard feedback from so many customers that it's really frustrating that somebody in IT has to go and give admin privileges every month to the people who need to go and get the newest version. With Windows 10 Store, this just makes that so much easier. One of the other things that's kind of a side benefit of the way that we've built this. So just out of interest, we've used the desktop bridge, the converter for like traditional apps into the UWP apps. Which was a really interesting process for us, actually pretty straightforward. We found a couple of like weird things around file system access that we had to go and fix. But generally it was pretty straightforward. And one of the great things that that came along with that process was that we put all of the languages that we support into a single installation. So if you're working in an organization where you're building reports for different countries and in different languages, you can now kind of swap that on the fly. So you just change the Windows display language and desktop will pop up in that language, and all the modeling settings will use the locale of that language for kind of format strings and the structure of the internal models, etc. The other thing is that as we ship those new versions, it does a diff in the size of in the files that get uploaded. So the downloads, we did another update just kind of to test everything out, and we'd made a few changes, just got the latest version. And rather than being a 200 meg download like it normally is, it was like 30 megs. So it just does the things that have changed, and that will really help things, as you try and manage the updates of Power BI Desktop over time. So go give that a go. Please keep rating us 5 stars, because that's obviously great, and let us know how you get on. So some of the other areas that we're investing really kind of fall into these four pillars, I guess. One is around enterprise adoption and enterprise readiness as a whole. We're seeing more and more adoption of Power BI across larger and larger organizations. And as we see that, there's a different set of challenges than we had maybe a year ago or 2 years ago when we started. The deployment thing is one of those, and that's why we focused on pushing things through the Windows Store. But there are some other things around kind of accessibility, working with screen readers and the like, and we're making continued investments in that area. And the other one that we hear time and time again is around the number of data points that we can plot in a chart. Currently, most of our visuals will render kind of 3,500 points before they start sampling that data. But we actually do so in a way that retains all of the shapes and the trends and the outliers in your data. So you shouldn't actually see a difference in the report, in the visual itself, even if some of the data points aren't being shown. But we are looking at just raising those limits in general. And I wanted to give you an example of kind of some of the ways that we're doing that. So this is something that nobody else has seen so far, so you are the first people spotting this outside of our team. One of the things that we introduced a couple of months ago was better sampling in line charts, but we're going to do something similar for scatter charts as well. So for example, I'm going to take my customer account field and add that to my details, and I've got 9,500 customers here, so it's way above our normal data point limits. But if I drag our satisfaction and purchase likelihood on here, you'll see that we're sampling. So what we're doing is just showing the most significant data points. So you'll see those outliers, you'll see the overall trend, but you won't get every single data point plotted. Now actually on a chart like this, most of the data points are plotted down here anyway, so if we plotted more of them, it would just still be orange. That's why we're sampling these things. We don't need to plot those. But if you want to go and see more, well, we're going to give you a little slider to let you do that. You can just say, actually, go and render the full 10,000 or whatever we've got in here. And now this will go and re-render and actually show you all of those 9,500 points. Now, you probably didn't notice anything change. That's because our sampling algorithm is actually doing its job properly. But you can tell it's rendering them all because it slows down a little bit. This is still a preview, so we are working on performance as well. So yeah, you get the idea, right? We're putting some more controls so that you can see more and more of your data if you want to choose that trade-off between the speed at which we're rendering these visuals versus seeing all that data. Just a few more kind of levers for you to choose. One of the other things is around sharing reports. We've heard feedback that publishing a report to the service, putting it into a dashboard and then sharing the dashboard is a couple too many steps. So we're going to make that much easier to allow people to just share a report instantly with somebody else. It will still go through that publishing workflow, it will still get sent to the service and you'll need to go through the service for it, but you can just send somebody a link then directly to the report. So on the connectivity side, you mentioned Vertical already, but...
Right, so on the connectivity side, we are shipping a new connector for BRK next week. Let's actually go do a quick demo. I think we have some time. Mm-hmm. So I'm back in Power BI Desktop at the Get Data dialog, and you can go and search for the BRK connector. It will show up in beta, and it will give you this warning that, you know, it's a preview connector, so things might change. We want your feedback, so on, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to see that again, by the way, so you can click that and click continue. So here you can specify the BRK server and the database name. I got my server, I just pasted that IP, and then my database name is that. So I'll paste that in, and we support both import and direct query with this connector. So I'll pick direct query. And then back to the point about consistency of the experience, you get the same navigator experience as we were seeing before for the web page. Now you're seeing it for BRK, and it would be the same across many of the other data sources that we support. So we could go and pick something like inventory table. Maybe we also pick the empty cars. And at this point, we can click load. This actually is data that's ready to go be consumed. And just because we're using direct query, we're actually going to just create the definition of these tables in the model without actually loading the entire data set. So you see that it actually finished quite quickly. So we get that data set, and we're in direct query mode. This is actually a fairly small data set. I think it's about 50,000 rows, but if you play with some of the other ones that we've created recently, like a good example would be BigQuery, Google BigQuery. We shipped that one a couple months ago. There's a public data set that you can consume today that gives you information about the New York bike rental system in the New York City. That has about 50-something million rows, and that the results and the interactivity on that report is just amazing. It's almost like if the data was cached locally, like sub-second responses for all of those queries. So BRK connector, new this month, coming next week, new in October. Something that we've actually worked together very closely with our partner at BRK. Again, reinforcing the message that the custom connector SDK that we're making available to all of you is also what we're using internally and with our partners to build new connectors for Power BI. And that's definitely very mature and something we encourage you to go try out and learn more about as well. A couple more things on connectivity. Hive LLAP connector. So LLAP stands for low latency analytic processing. It's not long live and prosper, just if you were wondering about it. That one is coming in November. Azure SQL Database and Azure SQL Data Warehouse, they added support for Azure Active Directory authentication on those services earlier this year. We are working towards adding that support in Power BI desktop and service through the gateway as well before the end of this calendar year. So that's some hint of something big that's coming, very highly requested. If you go to user voice and take a look. SAP connectivity. How many of you are using either SAP BW or SAP HANA connectors today? Okay, few of you. So some good news on the SAP BW front. We have a few new features coming, one of them being the ability to use additional member properties when you consume dimensions. So that's coming in October, so more of that coming next week. I can actually show you a quick demo. So I'm going to launch a new Power BI desktop instance. And we're going to go connect to my SAP BW demo server, which actually sits in Germany. So this might be a little bit slow. We'll see how lucky we are with the demo Wi-Fi. SAP BW 73 and system number and client ID. I'll pick import this in this time. And so this is the usual navigator experience again. So if you're familiar with the BW connector, this is by and large the same as you're used to seeing today. With one major difference, which is once you go dig into a specific BEX query, like let's say, for example, this revenue by country and products, you're going to see the list of dimensions that you can pick from, but you can also see additional attributes. And this is a part where we're traveling to Germany to get this metadata, so it's a little bit slow. So you're going to be able to select everything from the middle display name that was already there to actually other things, like for example, if you go to something like the distribution channel dimension, you're going to get this extra node for properties. And within this node, you're going to see all the properties that exist for that dimension distribution channel. So you see things like the unique name, the key, the medium name, which is the default property that we expose, and also the regular name. So if you go pick that one, and we can pick the key as well, we should be able to now see two columns in the output. One would be the regular distribution channel medium name, that was the default value before, and the new column that will show you the key information as well. Let's hope that comes. Oops. Okay. Well, Murphy showed up again, but believe me, you'll get a new column there when you select that property, and you can pick multiple of them. So you can, in fact, pick all of them if you want. And these are all dynamically inferred. So if you go actually consume a dimension where you've added some custom properties, you should be able to also get those into Power BI through this same experience. With that, let's switch back here, and a couple more things I wanted to mention. On BW, another enhancement that you're going to get maybe in November or December, we're still working through it, is the ability to connect by specifying a message server, so a load balancer server in SAP BW rather than the application server, which is what you've been using so far. Another enhancement on BW is going to be single sign-on support over Kerberos, which we plan to add also towards the end of the year. That will allow you, when using direct query mode and publishing those reports to the Power BI service, to actually have the identity of that end user consuming the report in the Power BI service get passed down to the on-premises data gateway, and from there will be Kerberos mapping that you've defined also in Kerberos, and it will allow you to map the identity of that user in Power BI with the identity, the domain user for that user in your organization, so that you can use the underlying data source security model, including role-level security and all of that goodness that you've already defined in SAP BW. So we're going to allow you to reuse that. On the SAP HANA front, we have some enhancements coming to direct query, particularly around better exposing some of the multidimensional nature of SAP HANA. So things like hierarchies will be supported, things like non-additive measures will be supported as well, and we also plan to enable single sign-on over Kerberos. So the same mechanism that I just described for SAP BW is coming for SAP HANA really soon. If you want more information on single sign-on, we also have a session this Thursday afternoon about the on-premises data gateway, where we're actually going to demo some of the single sign-on capabilities. That's all for me.
Did you mention the Azure SQL piece?
Yeah,
I know.
I did.
Okay.
But yeah, I could mention it again because
mention it again because I think
it's
really important, and I've heard loads of people ask for it this week as well. Actually, been talking about this. That if you're connecting to an Azure SQL database, you can just use your Active Directory credentials rather than having to use a database login. That's really cool. All right, John will swap back over to mine. It'll probably look the same because it's on the same slide. Okay, good. All right, so on the reporting and visual side, one of the really exciting things that we've heard people asking for some time is around one of the features in analysis services in the multidimensional mode. How many people are using ASMD still? A handful of you, cool. So this is one of the features that the MD supported for many, many years, is the ability to set the formatting of values as they come out of the cube at a very granular level. So I might have a dimension where for some of those results you get a currency, for some of them you just get a number, for some of them you get something entirely different. And we're actually going to respect all of that stuff in Power BI Desktop too. So if you're using desktop against MD, I know that's a big win. We are still working on those, and we know there's a load of other features that we can go and support, and we'll keep rolling forward to those in future too. Bookmarking is one of the other really sort of like big ticket items that's coming in October. You'll see this in next week, maybe the week after. So I'll come back and do a demo of that in just a second. I mentioned theming already. This is another area that we want to kind of just expand on and allow you to have more control over the style and the look and feel of those reports. On the exploration side, I think this is our number 2 or 3 idea on the suggestions forum at the moment, is the ability to have a slicer that applies across all the pages in your report. Or I very often see people with reports where they duplicate a slicer on every page in their report, and it's just like the region or whatever. So the person coming into the report, they go to one page, select their region, go to the next page, and I've got to select my region again. And go to the next page, I've got to select it again here. So we're going to fix that. We're going to make these slicers work so that you can kind of have them synchronized across all these pages. So I've only got to set it once, and it's going to go and get replicated in all these different places. So that will come in the next few months, hopefully, towards the end of the year. And another one that's really popular on the forums is when I drill down in one visual, I want that filter to be applied to all the other visuals on my page as well. So if I'm looking at a chart that's going down from years to quarters to months, when I drill just down into 2014, all the other visuals should just show me 2014 as well. So it's another area that we're going to go and add some features in. Q&A in the desktop is a really interesting one too. How many of you used Q&A, the natural language query, on the service? Okay, not so many. Go and try it out if you haven't. Just take any data set that you've got, publish it up to powerbi.com, create a dashboard, and you can start going and typing in natural language queries there. You'll get we'll go and figure out what the data is and suggest the best type of visualization for that data right there in the browser. But we want to bring that into the desktop as well. You may have seen one of the demos that Pat did yesterday or earlier in the week around being able to have a more conversational style interaction with your data there as well. And bringing that into desktop too will really help people as they're trying to find those insights and uncover different analytics in that data. So I said I'd do a quick demo of the bookmarking capabilities, so let's just have a quick look at that one. So I'm back to this traffic fatalities data again. And actually, we've got a whole set of report pages in here. And by playing around with all the slices and filters and looking at data in different ways, we found some interesting patterns in here. But rather than standing here and figuring out, OK, which filters did I apply and where should I drag these slices to, I can create a set of bookmarks that makes it really easy for me to present to an audience like yourselves what the key insights were that I found in this report. So for example, if I go and open my bookmarks pane, let's get rid of these two. I can just come to my overview page. This is the start. But if I wanted to look at, let's focus on people who are just driving at high speed, all I need to do is click on my fast drivers bookmark, and you'll see all those filters and slices get updated automatically to that kind of saved state in that bookmark. Hide this one as well. So you can see if I choose early morning, it will change all of those filters across the top. I actually get a kind of a play experience here as well. So if I close down my bookmark pane, I can kind of minimize everything else. In the service, you'll get an even more cut down experience as well. And now I can kind of page through all those different bookmarks, much like I'll do kind of a presentation. But because this is Power BI, everything's still interactive. So if I want to go and hover over and get these tooltips or cross-highlight or the like, I can do that as I'm making this presentation. If I want to go back to the next step in my presentation, I just hit next, and it will take me to whatever that next bookmark was. I can do things like transitioning between pages here. So here's another set of visuals and some more interesting trends that we spotted around. Gas prices went up, and that drove down some of the. There were fewer people driving because gas was higher. And that drove down some of the fatalities. We can also do things like highlighting individual charts to draw people's attention as part of a bookmark. And I wanted to draw your attention to this one because it's a new visual. This is this ribbon chart that I mentioned, and this is really good for showing the relative changes in the ranks of different groups over time. So we're looking at states. So this brown state is Montana. That had the highest number of fatalities in 2013. It dropped down to number 3 in 2014 and 15. This one down the bottom is interesting. So it's New Mexico. It jumped from 10th to 4th, and then back down to back down to number 10, right at the bottom. In 2015. So it's a really nice way of showing these kind of changes over time. It's something we built for that, analyze find insights, explain the increase feature, but actually you can use it anywhere in your report. It's just another visual. So actually creating those bookmarks is really simple. Just set up the state of the report as you want it. So let's come to our details page. If I had filters or the like, I could save those as well. In the future, you'll be able to save things like cross-highlighting as well. Don't do this quite yet, but we will do in a future release. And then I just add to another bookmark. So it just creates another one on this page, give it a name. So this was my car angle for motorcycles, whatever it is. And now that's just another bookmark that I can use to play through and sort of replay these insights back to my audience. And of course, when you chain these bookmarks together, publish them up to the web, it's a really nice way to kind of go and tell the story that you found in your data and explain whatever decisions, whatever action you're recommending out of the back of that. So,
Let's switch over
updated.
here.
You've got it back over there, haven't you?
Finalize deck. So just wrapping up, just a couple of things. We have a few minutes left. So we're going to be taking questions here at the end. So just we allow people to, for the next session to come in and you guys to move to your next session as well. Please don't forget to evaluate the session. It's really important for us. So I'll just emphasize that again. If you like it or if you didn't like it, that's also good to know. Your input is really important in that.
So one other thing I wanted to mention, we can take some questions now, but I'm certainly going to be down at the booth in the Microsoft Expo all afternoon. So if you want to come and ask any more questions or have a chat, feel free to come down. Are you going to be around this afternoon as well?
I'll be around as well, but yeah, we can take questions here before we run 2 miles away.
So please come to the microphones because there's no chance of us hearing you in a room this size. But we've got some thanks. So thank you very much for everybody who's on the way out.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, you might have mentioned it, but the bookmarks, do they get exported when you publish the reports so that others can use them, so you still maintain that single source of the truth?
Yeah, so if you publish this up to the Power BI service, the bookmarks are still visible there.
Yeah, Sally's not calling someone going, well, what did you use? Because I want to make sure we're looking at the same...
Right, so it's kind
I mean?
of, yeah, so if you publish that report, they'll always be seeing the same bookmarks as you've got. I mean, if you make changes to it in the desktop, you need to republish, but yeah, it's the same thing.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, keep going, yeah.
What about printing?
What about it?
Well,
you want it? Okay.
Our
so
users, well,
keep going and voting on it. We are looking at doing it. I can't commit to any timelines, but we do want to do that at some point.
our greatest challenge is we have users who wish to have that information, love the visuals, but they are want it in an email,
Stuck in
the
paper,
expression. Yeah.
So email subscriptions as well is something that we're kind of looking at for longer term backlog as well. That will come more on the service rather than something that you do just through desktop. But yeah, that's kind of on the list too. Do you want to go ahead over there?
We'd like a way to define tooltips in the database and have a column defined for another column as a tooltip so we can change that and have it flow all the way through. Is
like
there
a
way to do that?
description kind of thing. So there is something that we're looking at adding, which is exposing more of the metadata that's available in analysis services, like description fields and format strings and that other sort of stuff. That's kind of where we'll start. The ability to bind that to another field maybe will be a bit longer, but I've heard that request before. Thank you very much for the feedback. That's going into the list, and I'll take it back to the team. Okay.
Is there a way on the web connection to pass login credentials to the website?
All of our authentication is done through Azure AD, so we kind of hand all of that off to Office 365.
Okay.
So there's no other way of doing it in terms of logging into Power BI.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Well, we have some websites where our data sits on there, but you have to log in.
I see.
And there's, we'd like to extract some of the data from those websites, but.
Right. So that's not possible, mostly because many of those sites actually have custom forms implementation. So really the only other alternative is to look at an API-based approach for getting the data.
Okay.
There is a third party called import.io who specialize in creating these APIs on top of existing applications like that. It might be worth looking at, just as awareness. Import.io. Yeah. Okay. Is there another? No, okay, go ahead.
Hi, I would like to ask, what about the Mac version for Power BI? Because it's there.
So there is a guy in the expo hall. There is a company down there called TurboNet. I've just discovered them, but they do kind of containerized apps. It's a bit like VDI or Citrix or whatever, but it actually seems to work.
So you're fine with it and not developing anything?
In all honesty, it would mean us taking all of our developers off anything else for about 6 months. It's a huge amount of work. The in-memory engine that we have, trying to replicate that on the Mac would just take so long.
Okay.
All of the connectors, everything, we just have so much reliance on .NET, etc. For the moment, Turbo.NET might be a good solution. Now, we do want to go and build a web client. And if you go and look at what we've got in CDS in terms of data manipulation and transformation, what's going on with Azure analysis services in terms of web modeling, we've already got the reporting layer. Kind of all the bits are there. We will go and do a web client at some point. Just a question of when. But if you need something right now, I'd recommend going and have a look at them. Okay. We're definitely out of time, but please do all come down to the expo hall. More than happy to take any of the questions down there later on. Thanks.
Thank you.